Good morning. Welcome once again to Working. Today we are driving back out to the job in Blaine, Washington that we've been working on for several weeks now. Those 12 footings and 12 foundations that we've been trying to get done. Since the last episode, the snow and ice not so nice episode, things have gotten better. Things have thawed out. I think we're going to get up to like 50 degrees today, so it seems like the real winter weather is over for the year. And we're right in it. We're in the middle of stacking these foundation walls. We have poured, I think, 8 footings and 6 foundations now on top of some of those footings that we have poured. And so today I thought it would be good just to show you the process of working on the walls. I'm not going to show you the entire day, but I kind of want to convey to you what we're trying to accomplish. Obviously, we're trying to build foundations, because you need a foundation when you're building a house. But I just want to show you what is entailed in, you have your footing, you've squared up your footing, you laid out the footing based on the property lines and the setbacks and everything, and then you're putting foundation walls on top of that footing. How are you doing this? Why are you doing this? So we'll just get into that a little bit. Stacking a foundation, squaring it up, making sure you have the proper dimensions and everything. So that's what we're going to be doing on this episode of Working. So here's what we have going on here. We have a partially completed foundation. This one actually has to be stacked 4 feet high. You'll see that so far we're just partially completing the bottom layer. These forms right here are 2 foot by 8 foot panels. They're high density form panels. So we're going to be stacking 1 row on the bottom, then we'll stack 1 more row on the top. If you look at the plans, it's very simple. All of these houses in this group are very, very simple as far as the plans. So nothing too complicated, no weird angles or anything like that. And basically the objective is to lay out the footing. The footing is this part, the part you pour first. You lay out the footing, you get the proper dimensions, knowing that the outside of the wall is going to be inset 4 inches. So you want 4 inches on either side of the wall for the footing, because we have an 8-inch footing and a 16-inch, or we have an 8-inch wall and a 16-inch footing. So ostensibly there should be 8 inches for the wall, 4 inches for the footing, 4 inches for the footing. So when you're laying out the footing, you're trying to get all those dimensions correct. But then you have recourse to adjust that when you're setting the wall. So let's say you got your footing slightly off. Then when you're measuring the wall, measuring the setbacks from the property line, there's the orange property line right there. You're measuring the setback for the wall, you're snapping lines, these chalk lines that we have here, and you're laying out all the dimensions for the wall, squaring that again, using your Pythagorean theorem to square. And so then as you're building up the wall, you're correcting any slight variations that might have been in the footing. Usually our footings are right on. The objective is to get the footing right on, because you're also putting steel in the footing that has to go into the wall. Again, this is very simple steel layout. We've done things with tons more steel. This is pretty minimal for this kind of build. They're just residential. So you want the steel to be right in the middle of the wall, ideally. And you want the wall to be centered on your footing, ideally. But again, you can adjust that if you have to, if your dimensions weren't quite right. Ours are usually pretty good. And then as you're setting these forms, you start in the corners usually, and you want to level up. So you have your line at the bottom. You can't really see that chalk line anymore. Once you have placed these metal cleats, or these form clips right here, you put those, we put them, every 14 inches or so. You nail every other one in to keep the wall firmly placed on the footing. Then you're placing your board in, and then you're leveling up the corners to make sure that you're exactly level from where the line was in the corner up to the top of the wall, or up to the top of the form here. And that way you're trying to keep all your dimensions exactly square and exactly level. I'll show you some of placing the forms in And then I'll show you once we start stacking forms on top of this lower level, we use these things. These are called snap ties. So this is 8 inches here because it's an 8-inch wall. Then you have 1 inch and 5/8 here to give you room to place another form on top. And then we have a clip called a shoe, a metal shoe that you place on this part of the snap tie, and you hammer that down to keep everything secure so it's not going to spread out from the bottom of the form. But I'll show you some of that as well once we get to that point. First, we need to get this whole bottom layer set up. So you're measuring, you're remeasuring, you're going from corner to corner, making sure you have the proper dimension and that you're also level down. And then you know that as you stack up, you'll still be level and you'll still have those proper dimensions. We also oil our forms before we put them up. We just use this clean strip here, Dayton Superior clean strip, J1A. It's just a form oil. Throw it in a tray, use a roller, roll it onto the form. It's basically like putting, cooking spray in your pan before you cook a meal. Make sure that when you strip the forms, you don't have too much concrete sticking to the forms, and it also keeps the wall looking nice and smooth. These forms have already been oiled, so what I'm going to do is do a corner. Grab one of these. Again, this is a 2-foot by 8-foot form panel. I'm going to place it into the form clips here, the cleats. We call them cleats, they're actually called form clips. So you're getting it into the cleat. You want to make sure you're right into the corner. Push it down. So this corner I've already leveled up and screwed in. I put 3 screws into the wall there. I'm gonna measure and see. So right now I'm showing 8 1/4 inches. Doesn't have to be exactly in the corner because when I put the other one in, I'll make sure that's exact, but might knock this over a little bit. Knock it in. So we're right about at 8 inches. We may have to adjust that once I get the corner in. So now I'm going to throw another one up. Butt that into the other form. Okay, need to knock it over a little bit. It can be pretty tight. Okay, so we're nicely butted in there. For inside corners where we're going to be stacking forms on top, I don't put a screw in here because we want to be able to strip this form out afterwards. So I'll just put a little 6-penny nail in the corner just to kind of hold it. Now I'm going to get my level. And we're going to make sure that we are properly level here. So if you can see that, we're close. It looks like it needs to go over just slightly. So I'm going to give the form a knock. That's about right. Yeah, I actually went a little bit too far. Bring it back. And now we are right on dead level, which should mean that we're exactly 8 inches from this other wall. And we are. On this side, we should be pretty close because we're butted in. But then I want to get that corner done, and then I'm going to measure from corner to corner, having them both level. If they're both level, then the dimension from inside to inside, corner to corner, should be the proper dimension. If it's not, then there's a problem. Okay, so I have this corner set now. I'm going to level it, make sure we're good. That's looking pretty close. If I can get the bottom in there. Yeah, so that's nice and level. We leveled that corner, so now, hopefully, when I do this measurement, it should be exactly what it's supposed to be. And we are within a 1/16. Looks like the whole thing needs to move over just slightly by like a 1/16. So I'm actually going to knock the outside in slightly. So it's just checking, rechecking level, checking the measurements. If you're within a 1/16, that's pretty good. And there we are. We're right on 17.2 and then 17.10 to the outside. So now we know this dimension is good. So now that I've done both corners, leveled both corners, I can fill this spot in. So we need about 12 5/8. I'm going to say 12 1/2 just to make sure I have room. I'll cut that, knock that in, and then we are good. We're level and we have the proper dimension. Okay. Put a little oil on that. Then when we knock them together, we use these, what we call scabs. These were just the cross pieces that were going over on top of the footing forms. And then we reuse these as scabs to hold the walls together. I mean, this isn't really holding much, just making sure that things don't spread out. But the cleats and the shoes and everything else that we use to secure this is actually doing most of the heavy lifting. So we'll throw this in here. Fits just fine. Just a 6-penny nail. And there you go. That's a wall. I'm also going to throw the snap ties on top so you can see that, and then when we reconvene, I'll show you, once we have this whole lower level formed in, we have all the snap ties, which are these, on top. I'll show you what stacking the next layer is like, putting on the metal shoes and all that good stuff. So here we're putting the snap ties on, we're spreading them out just about the same as we would the cleats on the bottom, or the form clips. So just about like that. When you get to a seam like this, you want to make sure you get it close to the seam so you can have the shoe hit both of these forms. I'll show you that when we're actually putting shoes on. So you might put it right on the seam, depending on the spacing. Right here, I'm going to put one on either side. There's no steel in this section because we have a crawl space access that's going in here. And there you go. So now that's ready to have another row of steel placed on top, and then we'll start stacking forms on that once we've actually done the whole bottom here. All right, so that's basically the whole bottom level stacked. And we've got the snap ties laid out everywhere, left a gap in the back of the garage so we can get forms in there for when we're stacking the inner wall up to 4 feet. So now I'm gonna grab some metal shoes, I'm gonna grab some forms, I'm gonna get stuff laid out so I can start stacking this wall, and I'll show you a little bit of that process. Okay, so I've gathered up, oiled and laid out some forms here. We've got some scabs laid out, got shoes over there. So we're ready to start stacking this second layer. So basically we'll be using these shoes here, these metal shoes, put the form up, put the shoe on, knock the shoe down. So that's going to keep everything from spreading out in the middle. So I will put this baby right here. Not gonna stay there. Let me grab some of these again. Okay, so now I've got some shoes handy. Get this close. I'm not gonna get it right to the edge yet because we'll have to level up. Then the shoe basically goes on like that. I'm not gonna tighten these down all the way yet, just to keep it there. And we're gonna grab this guy, hopefully find kind of a clean edge. This isn't too bad. Since I'm butting into this other form, I don't want a weird angle on the edge of this form because that'll change my level, make it annoying. So pop this on, grab a few more shoes. So we're just going to get this kind of loosely set. And the big thing is just leveling. Everything has to be level. So now that we're up on the top top run, I'm going to start screwing in these corners because you'll be able to get them out when you're stripping. So basically, just go from right here, get it right there. Okay, so then I'll level this. Come on the inside first. Hopefully you guys can actually see this. So, looks like it needs to come back a little bit. So I'll knock that a little bit. Still just a hair. Pretty close, but I want to knock it one more time. Okay, that is pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I can tighten these. So I know that this is level this way, so I'll tighten these shoes. And that will keep this form here. Now we're going to look at this level. And here it looks like we need to come out a bit. I don't know if you guys can see that on the level. And since we're butted in here, I'm actually going to just loosen the screw a little bit. So actually, looks like we're also need to come out this way slightly. Okay, tighten these. Not too crazy. And then I'm going to loosen this up. Because basically we just don't have a perfectly clean cut there. Okay, let me get this going again. And we'll get the screw to get us the level we want. So here, it looks like we need to go in a little bit. It's going to be close. Still just a hair. It's just really important to have all these corners level. Okay, that is pretty damn good. Maybe just one more little hit. Okay, and there we go. So that is a leveled corner. It's leveled both ways. Notice there's a little edge of the form protruding in here. This is level though, so I'm gonna let that stay there. If I push it over to get that in, then this won't be level anymore. And this is fine, it's a short wall. We'll be able to get that form out, no big deal. So here, we're 2 feet from the outside to outside, this outside of the wall to this outside. So I'll measure in, 2 feet there. And now we have a form that's all oiled up and ready to go. And now that we know that this is level, when I've measured to here 2 feet, it should be level going down. Obviously we'll double check that and we'll adjust it if we have to. I always carry a couple shoes in my tool belt to make sure I can secure the form once I get it up, because they can just fall right down. So you place it on top of the snap ties, and I'll just loosely place a couple shoes on until I get the corners screwed and everything leveled. So now, ostensibly, we should be able to just screw this top, knowing that that's where it should be. That's where it's supposed to be based on the measurement, and hopefully that's going to work for the level as well. Moved a bit. This whole process goes a lot more quickly if I'm not telling you how to do it, but so I'll get that started. Grab this. And it's looking like we are not level. Put it on the outside. Pretty close. Double check this again. Yeah, I could knock it just a hair over, it looks like. And I will do so. Okay, that might have been slightly too much. From here, over here. You guys probably can't see this, but no big deal. Okay, so that's good there. And we are really close. And again, I probably wouldn't go as crazy on this as I'm doing it now. I just want to show you exactly what the process is. I think I'm okay with that. You can see the level now. We're good. I'm going to screw this bottom part in. Put 3 screws on. And then I level this side as well. You want to level both sides. That's looking pretty damn close. I might just knock it over a hair. Have to knock it in and secure this slightly. Okay. Yep, that's pretty good. Yeah, just maybe knock it back slightly. And that's good. So then you just put the rest of the shoes on. Get them nice and tight so they don't move anymore. So the form, you know that now that corner is set. It's level and it's where it's supposed to be. And again, this goes much more quickly usually. There you go. So now we have those corners and I can just knock the rest of these forms on without having to worry too much about it. And as you're going, if you keep checking the level as you go, checking your corners, then it should go more smoothly. You shouldn't have to keep adjusting things, because if you laid out your footing properly and then snapped lines properly on the footing, everything should be kind of lining up to what you had already planned out. So that's basically the idea when you're stacking forms. Bank is a little close to the wall here. It makes it kind of annoying. Let's try to get through. And before somebody mentions it in the comments, yes, I know that when you're talking about verticals, you're getting them plumb, you're not getting them level. Level is for horizontal, plumb is for vertical. But I'm using a level, and so I say level. Ugh. Oh man, stuck in here. There you go. Those are the walls stacked now. Everything plumb, everything the right dimension. There's still a lot to do. We have to throw some interior footings in there. We have to put vents in. We have to do blockouts. We have to do grade strip. A lot of other stuff, but the wall is stacked. We have to do that one before we do our next pour. We'll be doing 2 walls and 2 footings for the next pour. But I just thought you might like to see the process and the objective involved in actually stacking foundation walls. So there you go. That's the process of stacking walls and kind of what we're trying to accomplish when we're doing it. Getting everything plumb, getting everything in the right dimension. Hopefully you found that interesting. If you need any concrete work done and you're in the Whatcom County area of northwestern Washington, we have a link to our website in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you are just finishing a long, hard day of work yourself, have an icy cold bottle of chocolate milk for me. Twin Brook Creamery.